All right, all right. Welcome everybody. We are here with a good friend Justin over here. It's gonna be a very interesting episode on subtle Asian voices today. I know we have a topic of life after retirement, but we're probably gonna be talking about lots of random things to be honest. Um, but my name is Brian. I'm your host for today. Justin, this is gonna be the first time on this channel. I know you were on my other pharmacy channel. Can you just give a brief introduction of yourself, who you are, what you do, anything else, fun facts, things like that?
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of pressure now because I have to be interesting. But yeah, I'm Justin, just Justin. I am a husband, a dog dad, a pharmacist. I love to dance. I love to bake. I grew up in a family business like your typical Asian. Happy Lunar New Year to those of you who celebrate. But yeah, that's like me in a nutshell. I'm currently playing Pokemon Arceus. If you're if you're into that.
A what? What would you say?
Pokemon Arceus.
Is
It's
that the
like
new
it's the
Pokemon?
newest one, yeah, and they like flipped the whole game concept on its head, and it's a brand new concept. It's really fun, actually.
What's the different concept? I'm familiar with Pokemon Red and Blue. That's gonna date me.
Yeah. Well,
On the original Game Boy.
let's be honest. That's a rite of passage. If you don't know what red and blue are, you're in the out group. But yeah, so it's not like the typical Pokemon game where you get the 8 badges and you challenge the Pokemon League. It's not that. This is you take. I guess like the future game of this is Diamond and Pearl. You just go back way in the past, and so it's like before Pokemon and humans were interacting, and so like you're part of like the survey corps, and you're trying to figure out the mysteries of the world and Pokemon.
So you're not? Are you catching Pokemon? I assume
Yeah,
you are.
you
Oh,
catch them, but they're like it's not in the typical setting. Like it's open world. Like you kind of just like throw Pokeballs at them while you're out. It's all in real time. There isn't like a cut scene to battling every single time.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like an open RPG in a sense.
Yeah, basically.
Huh. Okay. Very
Yeah.
cool. All right. Well, Justin, this is gonna be unique because I was just I know we before we went live, I was just talking about how Beiju and I did something similar like this, and we talked for like 2 hours, random stuff. And I feel like we're just gonna ramble on about random topics here too. But
Mhm.
what was interesting about this is that it sounds like you are in a position to retire soon. And I have no idea what that looks like for you. So I'm just kind of curious about, how are you able to do that? Why do you want to do that?
Yeah.
And how did you even get here? So whatever you want to say about that, just go
Yeah.
for it.
Let's go back to the beginning. So
Mm,
let's go back 8 years.
mhm.
I'm 23. I just finished pharmacy school. I just got my first job. I would say even before I got my first job, I was just tired. Like I'm ready. So like I think I'm very different from other people because I've been just working a lot longer. Like I started working at the ripe age of 6. And
Huh?
yeah, like I think some people are like, "Oh yeah, whatever." Like you were sort of working. I was like, "No." I like to joke that my parents had my sister and I for free labor. But they,
Oh,
they
is
did
this
a
is
real
the restaurant? This is the
yeah,
restaurant?
this is like the
Ah,
grocery store restaurant. Yeah. Oh, here's the plug. Manila Mart in Beltsville. If you have not been, amazing Filipino food. You should go. Um,
Manila Mart. Is that
Manila Mart in
your
Beltsville,
family's?
Maryland. Yeah. hmm Check it out. But yeah, my sister and I, like, we helped build that place with my parents. So we would wake up really early on Saturdays, help cater. We would go there after school, stock the shelves. We were cashiers at like 7 years age, 7 years old. Um, what else did we do? Yeah, like we were basically running the place. A lot of times we'd wake up
Mhm.
early to go to the market to help my dad get, fresh vegetables and fresh meat, fresh fish, seafood. Yeah, the whole thing. And now my sister runs it. But like I was working full time basically for our family business my whole life until I left for college. And then I was also working during college, and I've been working ever since then. But at 23, I was like, I'm done with this. Like, I want to just not have all this responsibility. And I had a 10-year plan to retire. And so I'm not doing anything special. I think I just did the fundamentals. Like, I think people go through this in their 50s and maybe
Mm.
their late 40s, and they're like, I'm not ready for retirement. I'm gonna be broke. I basically basically took that, did that in my 20s, and was like, I'm gonna be working forever. I don't want to do this, and just start saving money. And so, I used to be really cheap. I would say I'm still pretty cheap. I used to
That's the
know,
secret.
yeah, that's I used to like know where every penny was going. And my husband knew like I had hawk eyes for money. Um, yeah, and so but we got on the same page. Like we got on the same page. We've been saving a lot. We're not doing anything special. I don't make a ton of money. Um, I just saved a lot. Like we save a large portion of the amount that we make today, and our expenses are relatively low. We don't live a super flashy lifestyle. We didn't over extend ourselves on a home purchase. Um, we don't have kids. I think that's like another big factor there. And
Think.
yeah,
You know what think, right?
huh?
Think.
Dink.
Oh, it's something being involved in more of the dating scene has been active for the last year or two. DINK is a common word acronym that's thrown out. DINK is dual income, no kids.
No.
It's a huge thing. I mean, like I'm sure all of us know how expensive kids are.
Yeah, but that's like all young people now, right? Like I think the idea of the nuclear family and the village raising a child, like that is gone now. Like now kids move away, they move far away. They're kind of expected to like make sacrifices between work and their kids.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I don't know, like I think if we were to have kids, I think we talk about it once in a while, but if we
Hmm,
were to have kids, like, I don't want to work as much as I'm working now.
fair. And
Mm.
me follow up that with, are you working full time right now?
Yeah, yeah. I'm working
Okay.
real full time.
Nice. So let me take this back a little bit too. You're 23 and you had this mindset that, hey, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I actually think that's very mature for someone who's 23 years old to decide to not work and be intentional about it. Because, like, thinking about myself and many of my friends, when you're 20, you want to go party, man. Like, you want to spend money. Everyone's buying expensive things, eating at fancy, well, maybe not fancy restaurants, but
Yeah.
they want to get like designer, they want to like go travel places.
Yeah.
That's just kind of surprising that you had that mindset at 23. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. It's funny. When I turned 21, I definitely took a step off of the party pedestal, if you will. Like,
Okay.
my 21st birthday was actually pretty lackluster. Like I didn't rage to the death of me. I think it was a little bit circumstantial, but because nobody was around. uh, but yeah, like I don't know. After 21, I kind of like toned things down. Also, I was just like really busy all the time. Like I was working full time. I was taking a full load of classes. Um, I think at the time I was like opening up a pharmacy with my current boss at the time. Like it was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And let me go back to how you even arrived to that conclusion. Like, why did you say, like, because you said like 8 years you're gonna save up and stuff, like, or retire in 8 years? Like, where did you even get that number from?
Yeah, I chose 10 years arbitrarily. I was like
Oh,
23, 10 years from now, 33. Like at 33 is like the year where I will decide, do I keep going or am I good? And let's take a step back and reprioritize. I mean, actually, that mentality is not super healthy. Like, I feel like people should do that regularly, and I think I'm doing that now. But I would say, like, for the first 5 or 6 years of this like early retirement journey, like that was the end all be all. It was like, do I spend money now or like do I like revel in the security that I'll have at 33? Yeah.
and as you were learning about all this, did you use resources, or like how did you learn about how to retire early? Because it doesn't just like, I want to retire early and it happens. Like, how did you learn more about it and what did you do?
Yeah, I think it actually all started when I was trying to get into like the manufactured spending space.
Mm.
which is like, churning through credit cards to get points to be able to
Mhm.
afford stuff. Like that's where it all started. I was like looking into Million Miles Points and the Points Guy and all of these
Mm.
different bloggers who do this very successfully. And then I also stumbled upon like this new community, like the FIRE community, if you will. And so like I went to like the typical people, like the Mad Scientist, Mr. Money Mustache. Um, there were a couple other people that are following. There was like a family that moved to China. That was like making money off their house in the US. Like I was just following all of these different people who also went in this direction a little bit later in life. Um, and some people who happen to just like serendipitously get there because they're just a little bit boring. Um, and I guess like I kind of wanted that. Like I actually envy like the boring life because I feel like I could never attain that.
Well, man, I have a few questions that's on my mind. One question is, did the fire movement already come out at that time? I was not aware.
It was
It's
much
new,
smaller, much smaller, and it was
but that
most
idea was there.
yeah, the idea was there. I think the financial independence movement is not new per se. Like early retirement extreme, I think, is like Jacob, I think his name is like the guy who like took it
Oh, I know
really
Jake.
far. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was like a long time ago.
Mm.
Yeah.
But that's the group that you learned about and gave this idea to you.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super interesting. Oh yeah. I would that was my second question actually was what exactly is the boring life?
I don't yeah, it's like, a little bit easier.
Hmm,
Like
easier.
maybe it's just like waking up and if I decide that day I want to bake bread, I'm just gonna bake bread. Like today, like I have a very strong sense of duty. Like I wake up at 5, I go to the gym, I come home from the gym, my butt is like in front of my desk and I'm like ready to work. And I'm working whether it's for my job, whether it's for committee work, whether it's for mentoring, whether it's for whatever it is, bucket all of that into work. Like I'm working from like as early as I get in, which is like maybe 8 o'clock in the morning, sometimes earlier, 7, until like 9 p.m.
So that's called the boring life?
No, that's my life today. The boring life is I can wake up and just do whatever I want.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Is it because you would prefer do you feel like you're doing that now because it's not almost sounds like you want to though, like it brings you joy, not that you're forced to.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to say. Like I was actually talking to someone about this the other day, but like, the word that comes to mind is conquer. Like someone called me a conqueror the other day, and I've been in that cycle my whole life. Like I start somewhere and my role in that place just grows and grows and grows. And I don't have any control over it, to be honest with you. Like I'm not looking to achieve. I'm not looking to like,
Uh,
grow. I'm not looking to push myself in that direction, but just very naturally, I think I
happen.
gravitate towards that, or I'm very easily the person that stands out as the candidate for the next step. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's built inside, and I actually think that it's just an innate procedure that I have.
Hmm.
Yeah, so, like, the boring life is, like, maybe not attainable for me.
Yeah, you don't strike me as someone that would be doing that. So for example, which would be the next question I would ask is what do you plan to do after retirement? I, I feel like you wouldn't stop. I feel like you just do more of it and you would double down on all these different things that you're doing.
Yeah, I think so. I've dreamed of, like, what retirement looks like. Like,
Huh.
do I open a bakery? Um,
Ooh.
yeah, do I, learn a bunch of languages? Oh, Marilyn in the house. What's up? Um, do I travel? Like we've already started investing abroad and, like we have a place to live abroad if we wanted
Wow.
to. Yeah. And it's, life is a lot cheaper there.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. But, my biggest fear in retirement is that I don't have a good plan yet for what to retire to. Um, and like
Mm.
my biggest fear is like when I let everything go, when I let go of work and kind of like today's version of purpose, do I just die in a year? Like, do I have a heart attack? Do I have a stroke? Do I just like gain a ton of weight?
Did you read Tim Ferriss's 4 Hour Work Week?
I'm like a waste of literacy. I haven't read a book in my life. Like not not even the required reading.
Wait, what about pharmacy school, man?
No. Actually, my friend sent me a really good picture. Let me see if I can actually get it on screen. He sent me a really good picture of me studying from a book. And it's a great characterization of how I read. Here it is.
Oh my god. What was this for school? From school? Studying?
Yeah, this is cool. This was International Village at Northeastern University, circa, what is that, 2010?
Nice. I
Yeah.
mean, books are actually relatively new to me as well. I've never actually read. I started reading a lot after a breakup that I had a while back. And I think part of what was nice was it brought a lot of different insight. I read a lot of biographies, and I still do. Nonfiction books. It just brings different perspectives and insights that I've always found valuable. So, to get back to the topic, though, the 4 Hour Work Week is fascinating. I think there's so many takeaways from it, but one in particular was talking about retiring at the traditional age of, let's say 65, and people think it's going to be this amazing thing. You're going to be on the beach sipping mimosas every day, and he says that a lot of people get bored, and I think talking to a lot of people is like, yeah, the idea sounds great, but you get bored quick. We as humans, we need purpose in some way. And if you don't have that, it gets boring quick. But it was a fascinating. So what he does in that whole book, he talks about how you can like build passive income throughout your life and take these mini retirements throughout your life. So it's you can maximize your energy, your time now when you're younger too.
Yeah. And I've thought about that too. I was like, oh, like, why don't I just stop? I think my sense of FOMO is, and maybe you feel this too, is like, could I walk away from my work today and be able to go back later? And I don't think that's the case. Or, that's my own read of it. Yeah.
Let me ask you here then is what would you we'll just jump right into the question. What do you plan to do after you retire? I know you say you didn't have a plan, but like what are some ideas and thoughts you have?
Yeah, I have no idea. So like, what are some of my thoughts? Like maybe there's living abroad. And I think we've romanticized that idea a lot.
Yeah.
It would definitely be a lot harder than I think it would be.
Yeah.
There's consulting, which, yeah, my worry with consulting is that it like blows up into something ginormous. And like, it's funny, like coming from a small business, like a family-owned business, unlike people who started out their work life in like a traditional 40-hour employed situation, it's like if you quit your day job to run your own business, you just quit working 40 to 60 hours a week to working 24/7. Like that's the truth. Yeah, then there's the bakery idea, which I think I've also romanticized, but I'm also very regimented about it. Like I have a version in my head that I know will work, but it is a job. Like you wake up at 2 a.m, you start baking at 3, you're open at 5, you're open until like 6 p.m, you sleep for maybe 4.5 hours. I don't know, like that doesn't sound like retirement to me, but there's nothing better than people walking into your bakery and enjoying bread. So
I think I have something similar, and I want to like do a follow-up with you on your bakery idea. Dennis and I went on this big trip for like 10 days camping all over the place in like the middle of nowhere places, Montana. And there was a lot of people that did that. It was like these small town bakery shops, but I look at retirement as a way of you do what you want, you do what you love. And some people love having a little shop. You can serve people. It makes someone's day. They're eating stuff that you made, So can you tell me about your fascination with baking? Like, what is it? Is this something you've always done? Like, why do you want to open a bakery? Why is that an idea?
Yeah, it's funny. I ran away from a food business, right? Like I was like,
No,
I'm tired
yeah.
of this. Like, I'm not waking up at 3 o'clock to slice and dice meat. Like when I was a teenager, I'm done. But no, like I don't know. I picked up baking after leaving home. So like I'm very used to catering, like cooking large amounts of food for large gatherings and also for parties and stuff like that. But mostly cooking Filipino food, savory, not a lot of sweets. But I love sugar, and I
Oh yeah.
love pastry. And I think just my natural love of eating those things has made me gravitate towards baking here at home. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and so and I yeah, it's just a world of its own, if you will. Like it's a very deep world.
And so when you are baking now, do you find a lot of joy when you are able to serve it to someone else and for them to enjoy too?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's nothing better when people are like, "Oh, yeah, have you had Justin's brownies?" Like,
Oh, you like that?
yeah, like, doesn't that it just makes you feel good. It's like, "Oh, yeah, people, like, love the stuff that you put your love into."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I know that I personally like to bake too, by the way. I'm not a good cook, but I would say that I spent more time baking. I like to bake flan, by the way. And so
Mm.
whenever people like love my flan, I'm like, yes. Because it takes time to perfect these recipes. I changed my recipes over the years, and it's like you learn different things that you want to add to it to make it better. And
Right.
there's a lot of joy from that. Some of these comments though, uh, the piano. You know who piano shit is, right? I don't know if I.
No, I don't. Oh, is that Tony?
That's Tony.
Okay. Hey, Tony.
Uh, dopamine, I think is Beiju.
The Bay.
The
Yes.
Bay. Yeah.
Yes.
Paul is one of my friends local to the DMV. He's also in the DMV as well. Came into brownies. What did I miss? Paul is actually a very interesting dude. He is I think he went to culinary school, so he's an amazing cook.
Mm.
It looks like Linda has a question here for you. What if you bake a few times a week to a local coffee shop? Oh,
Yeah, if I don't know, I'd have to, like, prioritize that, I think, with my current life schedule. So, like, my current life currently looks like this, like I said, I wake up at 5 in the morning, go to the gym, that's usually, like, a 2-hour adventure, 2 or 3-hour adventure, come home, I work.
jeez.
Yeah, I would say, like, on the easiest day, I'm out by 6 p.m., then I gotta cook dinner, take care of the dogs. Um, I usually go back to work to clean up like my personal life, my own email, finances, which I haven't done in a while. Mail, like as an adult, the one thing that has surprised me most is how easy it is to fall behind on mail, like snail mail. Um,
Hmm.
I get a lot of snail mail. Yeah. Yeah. And then like by that time, it's like already 9 and 10. And it's like, I need to go to bed.
I think the adulting life is difficult in itself. Like I never find that there's enough time in a day to do all those things. Snail mail, yeah. This you mentioned this, and over here on my desk, it's like a bunch of snail mail.
Hmm.
It's hard.
It's hard. And
It's
then
hard.
don't forget, like, all the other shit that, like, piles up every day. Like, laundry takes time. Like, today I vacuumed, and that took 40 minutes for just one floor. Dishes, that's, like, another 30 minutes out of your day every single day if you only wash once a day. If you cook, like, that's at least 30 minutes. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, it's hard. And I have to say that some of those things, I read this book uh last year called The Wall Street Playboys. Have you heard of it?
Mm-mm.
And the idea behind Wall Street Playboys is like a different take on the whole retire early movement. And so everyone's like, save as much as you can, retire early, blah, blah, blah. Then the Wall Street Playboys is like, yes, save. But at some point you're gonna hit this threshold where it's like you can't spend the rest of that money. So instead of continuing to save and be frugal, use the money to live and maximize your life entirely. And one of the things that they talk about too is about using the money to buy back time. And I would have never thought I'd be someone to buy like a Roomba, but cleaning, just like you said, it takes me like an hour to clean, to
Yeah.
thoroughly clean. So I have a Roomba, and I'm like doing other things while it's cleaning, and it's amazing. I think
Is it enough?
retirement will offer
Is it enough for you though? The Roomba?
well, no, but it helps. It helps a lot.
Yeah.
You know, there and it can help maintain because you can set like automation where it can just do it every week,
Hmm.
every couple hours, something like that. It's nice.
Yeah. I
Better
mean,
than
we have a
nothing.
Roomba also, and I run it, but it's not the
It's
same as
definitely not enough.
the
Yeah.
vacuum, like the regular. But yeah,
Whoa. Wait, do you have a Dyson or something? Is that?
I have a Miele,
Oh, I don't know. I'm not fancy. I'm
one of those
frugal as
Canner
hell.
vacuum. Yeah, for what it's worth, like I'm very passionate about vacuums. I grew up with a that really expensive like $1,000 Kirby, like
Oh my
with
god.
the salesman that goes to your house. But like when I moved here, like I had a Shark what I bought in college, and it's okay. Like it's an okay vacuum, but Miele it's really good.
Really?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I can't. I have a. I think I have a broom. It's
yeah,
like from the dollar store. You know, the ones where like you use for like a month and it breaks. Yeah.
yeah. Oh my gosh.
I guess yeah, we all have our things that we spend money on. A couple more comments. Dopamine dopamine kind says side hustle mode. Linda says and do online pre-orders. That's a interesting one.
Hmm.
The Cho says you better give me flan. I feel that I check my mail once every 3 weeks. And Tony says automate everything. Okay. Well, this bakery thing could be a opportunity. What other things are on your mind?
What other things are on my mind? I don't know actually. Like at one point, I was trying to become a polyglot. I was like studying Spanish and Japanese.
Wait, what does that mean?
Um, a polyglot is someone who can speak multiple languages.
Why why is that interest in that?
Yeah, I think this came out of my time in Europe. So I lived in Europe for 3 months, a little over, because I did an international co-op that I set up at my school.
Oh,
So I lived there. I worked at an international hospital in Malta, which is like like a little country south of Italy, in the middle of the Mediterranean Ocean. I met one of my really good friends there who's Japanese.
hmm.
He was like there to study English, and I met amazing, incredible people, all who were learning English in this like small little island. You would never know that people were going here to study English. Um, yeah, and I just had a fascination with being able to communicate with them. And I think like they had a fascination with communicating with me because I spoke English. But a lot of stuff gets lost in translation. Uh, yeah. Plus, like I watch a lot of anime, and I've always wanted to watch anime without subtitles. So,
Japanese is hard.
oh, it's hard.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think I've ever tried to learn that, but I actually would have to say I had very similar feelings. You know, I did a month-long trip all throughout Europe, backpack Europe with two friends of mine, and I was just like, man, I wish I could learn some other languages, but I don't. It's really hard, so I never did it.
Yeah. I think for me, what I've learned is I don't have the ear for it. It's like you know how you have those people, like my husband is a great example. He can just pick up languages just by hearing them, and he hears them very
Mm,
similarly to how he hears Spanish. So he like can sort of understand French. He's already speaking Portuguese, all self-taught.
wow.
Yeah. It's amazing. And he can hear the differences and like the nuances in each language and kind of like map it back to the word that it's supposed to mean in another language. I have a really hard time with that. I already have a hard time actually hearing people speak English. Um, and like my brain will like just drown it out. And so people will say things directly to my face and I won't understand it. Or like it'll just fly by me. And that has made learning languages for me very difficult.
Yeah, I could probably relate to that. I just don't have the ear for it. Some people just have a natural inclination to pick it up really easily.
Yeah.
You have a question here though. If you were to retire overseas, what country would you pick?
Yeah, actually, Malta is a great candidate. It's European, medicine is good, it's relatively cheap. You can choose to have a very expensive life or a very cheap one. I would say, like, when I was living there for the 3 month time, I probably only spent, I don't know, maybe $2,000. So it's like a 6,000 oh no, $8,000 yearly budget for like a pretty decent life. I mean, we still went out and had Toysonese.
What is Toysonese?
Colombia is a candidate. The Philippines is a candidate. And the way I've always looked at this is like, we're not going to stay there forever. I think like maybe we stay there for a couple of years, move to a different place. Yeah, mostly like lower cost of living areas where there's a lot to explore. And when I say explore, like unlike you, Brian, I could not do the backpacking thing. Like,
What? Oh wait, you stay at really nice places. Is that you?
I would say like, yeah, I do have slightly fancier taste.
Okay.
And a low tolerance for struggle busing. Although I will do it. Like I was homeless in college for at least a semester. And so
Huh?
like I've definitely done it. Like I'll make it, but I don't particularly enjoy it.
What do you mean you're homeless? Would you?
Yeah, like well, I after a year. So the funny story about Europe is like I brought all my money there in cash, like 'cause I'm stupid, and someone stole all my money, and that was like my savings at the time. And so like
Oh
my
my
parents
god.
supported me while I was in Europe. I came back and I didn't want them to support me anymore. Luckily, like a friend of mine allowed me to like stay in their apartment, but I didn't want to live there because like the window was broken and it was winter. It was not a good time. So like for all intents and purposes, I lived in the cold out of a suitcase with my cat at the time. And then after that, my friend was really nice to like let me live in her dorm room, but like I didn't really have a place of my own. And so like
This
I would be a wanderer for the rest of the day. I had places to sleep, but I didn't have a home.
this was college?
Yeah, this is college.
How long was this? It's a
Oh,
couple months.
yeah, like 4 months. I got my first C in school that semester.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It was a
That's
tough year. It was a tough year. But you know, I learned a lot. I got through it. You know, like people are pretty when you need to be, people will be resilient.
mhm.
Yeah.
Wow. That's something I never knew about you.
Hmm.
That's yeah, that's a lot to go through. If people who are put through those kind of like circumstances, I feel have a different level of humility towards certain things. And wow, that's a caught me off guard, man.
Yeah.
um, but on that note, it's maybe do you think there's any tie to your desires nowadays to live in something nicer because of that experience? Do you think that impacted at all?
No, I mean, like I live a very modest living situation right now. Like
Mm,
a very old home. It's a very nice home, but it's not like I don't have a mansion. Um, like I feel like I could like we could totally buy a huge house that costs hundreds of dollars to heat. I could have a heated driveway, but no, I mean like very modest home in a very modest city. I don't live in the city. I don't throw all my money on a nice condo. Um, you know, I have my two dogs. We're not super lavish about them. You know, like our biggest budget line item is food. Like we definitely spend a lot
mm.
of money on food. Um,
What's your favorite?
my favorite food, anything with rice. Uh, and anything sweet. I love sweet stuff. I love eggs in anything. Probably even more than my love of butter.
Ooh,
Yeah,
everything is better with butter.
everything is better. And now I get my butter shipped like directly from the farm. So, and
Wow.
my eggs too. Like it's so if you have never had like fresh eggs from a chicken's butt and you've only had grocery store eggs, you don't know what you're missing. Uh, the flavor is incredible. It's just much richer. Even the mouthfeel is different. Like grocery store
Hmm.
eggs, they feel like watery to me, or like I don't know, like a spongy rubberiness. But real farm fresh eggs with healthy chickens, they have like a very velvety egg mouth texture.
Hmm.
It's amazing.
How do you get that? Is it like online kind of thing?
I use a company called Walden Meats. right now who like ships it to my house every month.
Wow.
Yeah, but like there's also, I don't know, like you probably could find a local farmer who has a co-op or something that has eggs. I know even if you just go to Western Massachusetts, there's some farms there. Like you'll see signs in front of like residences that say like we have fresh eggs, and you can just knock on the door and buy
Hmm,
eggs. Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Hmm.
Maybe something I have to try. Definitely notice like the difference in certain types of foods. The first thing that I thought of at the time was eating sushi. And eating sushi most of my life, I'm just like love sushi with all this like eel sauce, hot mayo, spicy mayo, things like that. And then I went to Tokyo with Dennis, and I was like, oh my god, oh my god! Like I never expected what I mean. It's raw fish. There's no salt. They put a little bit on there and stuff, but
Hmm.
it's like the difference between fresh fish and like some of the fish that you get in America, like the common places where they dump all the sauce. It's so different.
Well, I think that's actually the secret to sushi. So, like I don't want to get to the topic of authenticity in food because it'll drive me insane. But like, like when people are like, "Oh, this fish is so fresh," I was like, "Okay, let me just tell you something. Fresh fish tastes like nothing." Okay, like what you actually want is you want fish that's just slightly aged and aged well, so it has time to actually develop some of those like enzymatic based flavors that come with age. Um, like if you just cut open a fish and you just eat it right off the bone and don't cook it, like it will taste like nothing.
Hmm.
Yeah, but that's my rant. But speaking of Japan, I've been to Japan a couple of times, and I don't know, food there is just better. Like everybody feels very invested in the food that they're delivering you,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's a very different mindset than we have here in America, which is like put food out that looks like it's the food that people want.
Yeah, I don't trying to recount my experience. It was the same as Seoul too. Seoul and Tokyo, I had some of the best experiences just going out to different hole in the walls.
Hmm.
Oh my god, like cold soba noodles or just like a bulgogi and rice. Oh my god, it was so good.
Yeah, they just love everything to its core. I feel like in those countries, like
Yeah.
when they talk, like I was watching this thing on Netflix about beef in Korea, and just like they just love the cow and they really savor the meat and all parts of it too. You know, I don't know. It's great, but you don't get that level of respect or veneration for meat here in America. I don't feel like.
Well, that is why we need Justin to retire and open a bakery. People are gonna feel the love in that bakery. We need more of that in America.
Yeah.
Um, More comments here. Cho says no meal is complete without rice. It's funny. I haven't eaten rice for a couple years until last. Yeah. I was on a unique diet, try like no carbs and stuff like that. But I got a rice cooker. My cousin bought me one, I think a couple months ago, and I was like, oh, let's start cooking rice. Um, Cho says go to the farmers market. Beiju says I'm feeling hungry. I'm actually really hungry right now too. Uh, they also care more in Japan. You're making me just Japan. Hanwoo beef. I don't know
Yeah.
what that is.
Hanwoo is a location in Korea where they like raise beef. Like, and the
Oh,
cows there are special.
I see. So is it equivalent to almost like the Wagyu
It's kind
from
of like
Japan?
Wagyu, yeah. Hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me go back to the whole traveling thing with the whole country. So is that something that you think you and Robert will be doing in the future? As in you're just gonna move your life completely to another country? Do you think that's like will happen?
I think it's possible. There's definitely a mental barrier there. Like I think anyone who's willing to just get up and leave and go to a different country is just built differently. Like it's hard to
Yeah.
learn the norms of a new country, to interface with that country's government, just to deal with the social norms, to be viewed as a tourist when you're actually a resident. A lot of that comes with that territory. But I mean, when we decide to do this, I think we're not going to care because we'll have a very low responsibility, like level of responsibility to other people at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we have destinations in mind. Like Portugal is definitely like a contender of place to be long term.
Why Portugal?
I don't know. Portugal is it's not. I wouldn't use the word sleepy, but it's got a very chill culture.
Huh.
It's a little bit more laid back. It's just enough traditionalism where it doesn't feel like conservatism, um, at least from the outside. Um, it's very foreigner friendly. Like people speak English there. They're very welcoming.
Mm.
Um, and it's just a beautiful country with very, very nice people. A very diverse set of people at that.
The two thoughts that come to mind when you say Portugal is one, I want to visit Portugal, but just to drink port when in Portugal. And and number two, if you're saying like laid back, why not somewhere in the West Coast? I feel like it's like the complete opposite of everyone in East Coast. Everyone is so chill in the West Coast. Why
Yeah, but
not
it's also
move
very
somewhere?
expensive, is it not?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That is fair. I know a lot of people who retire early actually move to Portugal too.
Yeah. And I think there's another problem. I think maybe it's a perception of mine for the West Coast is that like there's a lot of I don't know, like strange ideas on the West Coast.
Care to elaborate? What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know exactly yet what I think it means, but I don't know. There's there's an idealism to like the West Coast that I don't fully yet understand, that I feel like I need to understand first before I dive there. Dive in.
It seems like you have a specific thought in mind.
I really don't. Like it's I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It would almost maybe like the thing that I fear most is that it would just be like too laid back, and I still have the expectations of what it is in like to live in the US. Like sometimes I run into people who are from the West Coast and they have like this very lax view of life.
Yeah.
And I don't. Um like
Yeah.
I'm a very purpose driven person, and I feel like in the West Coast the general culture is like less purpose driven, and that would be really hard for me.
Hmm. I went to actually not San Diego. It's LA last May to kind of like live life to try to be different because like I feel like I work a lot all the time too, and that was like what my month off where I took time off. I took kite surfing
Mm,
lessons, very unique, right? And super fascinating because my instructor was a guy that was like 30 years old. He moved from Amsterdam and he has been living out of a van for like the last 10 years or something. And he ultimately landed up in LA, decided to teach whatever. And I'm like, what do you plan to do next? And he's like, I've been thinking about that for a while, but it'll come. And I'm just
yeah.
like, I don't think I could ever do that, but I admire that.
Yeah.
He just loves life.
Yeah. But that's a person that can live in the present. I've recently learned that that is a flaw of mine. Like I very much live in the future.
Do you have an example?
Yeah, like the whole retirement thing. Like,
Like
you
thinking
know,
about,
yeah, like most people like live in today. Like I want to experience today. I'm young, I can do this. While me, like when I was young, I was living in my financial independent 30s, which is like I need to make it there now. And like whatever happens today is like could happen to anyone. It's very pedantic.
we're probably very similar in that regard, by the way, too. I can't live in the present. I think I force myself to. I try, but I
Mhm.
feel like I always think long term too. So some of the comments here, again, Choice says, give me the rice cooker. What's your go-to food in Japan? um, Tony says it's very expensive in Cali. And he's talking about homeless. No, I think that's the van dude.
The homeless in
Yeah.
San Francisco really did throw me off guard. Like when I was in I visited San Francisco for the Society of Critical Care Medicine's like international conference. I was
Mhm.
presenting some research that I won
Nice.
an award for. Um, And
Recently?
this was in college.
Oh,
But it really did throw me off, like how many homeless people there were on the streets, and also just like how many people were selling drugs everywhere.
and this is in college, so this is
This
a
was in
while
college.
back.
Yeah, it was a while back. Yeah, this was like 2013.
Have you
Yeah,
been there recently?
I have not been there recently. No.
I heard it's gotten a lot worse.
Oh, I can only
Um,
imagine because it was already pretty bad then.
yeah, it seems like it's if you go there, especially if you have a rental car, the thing is you should expect to have your car broken into. Like every single person I know that has visited San Fran that has rented a car has gotten their windows smashed. Like literally every single person I know.
That's
Um,
crazy.
but
That's absolutely insane.
yeah, I don't really know too much more beyond that, but I guess it's gotten worse for sure. Here's a question from Beiju. How does the high cost of healthcare affect your decision to retire early?
Yeah, that is one of my main concerns, which is like, how are you going to afford healthcare? Luckily, if you live abroad, that largely solves your
Hmm.
problems for the most part. Like the idea is that we're trying to stay healthy. A lot of the things that we're going to need are preventative care. We're not going to require a lot of like, obviously a very privileged view of access to care. But also a lot of even the third world countries in the world have very accessible healthcare that's top tier, um, for a pretty modest out of pocket cost, unlike here in the US, where like out of pocket is basically a financial death sentence. Um, so there's that. There's also some gamey stuff, like you can buy travel insurance and use that abroad, for healthcare, and it's actually quite good. You could also enroll in college, like a very modest community college, and they usually offer a health plan for students, which is comprehensive. Um, so like, yeah, there's other ways to afford healthcare that is not just the exchange.
A couple of the people that I know in the fire movement have moved to like, uh, yeah, just like what you were saying, other countries, Portugal being one of them. And it seems as though it's quite easy to access the healthcare there. I feel like I read somewhere before if you get like some bad health condition, it's one of the highest reasons why people go bankrupt in America.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, just look at our seniors, and I have a particular perspective because I work in the Medicare space. Like the way we treat old people in this country who have no money is horrible. Um, like
Mm.
like and we pay for their care, but it's like, take care of your parents because the government and people in general are not going to take care of them.
Oh, I feel like this path can get a little morbid.
Yeah.
um, let me switch a little bit here to some of your other hobbies. So aside from like traveling, moving to another country, do you have any like thoughts on other hobbies that you might pick up? Like I know people might start writing a book, take up a new sport, maybe spend more time with friends and family. Like, have you thought about other things?
Yeah, that's actually one of my main motivators is I'd love to just like be close to the people that I love. And
Mm,
just go there and not care. Like I think right now what causes people to be anchored is their responsibility to other
yeah.
people, particularly work. But like, let's say I wanted to go to my friend and just like visit for 3 weeks. I'd love to be able to just do that, and not be held accountable to somebody else. Uh, or like if I want to travel abroad and maybe babysit for my for my friend who's working, I can do that. Yeah, I don't know. Like same thing with my family. Like I live far away from my family now, but I definitely miss just how easy it was to have access to them. Um, now that I'm gone, like I hear about my siblings all the time. Like they're, oh yeah, we're going to mom's house, we're going to dad's house, we're going to do this and that, and like I get on the phone. It's actually like a little bit annoying, I would imagine, for me to be the one person who's on Google Duo while everybody's
Mhm.
hanging out in person. Yeah, so like I check in for like 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, have fun. I'm gonna go back to doing what I'm doing.
Hmm. I'm trying to rationalize those thoughts in my mind because like I feel as though like for me personally, I care too much about work
Hmm.
that I wouldn't mind, which is bad. I think if money wasn't an issue, I probably would spend more time with family and friends. But yeah,
Mhm.
work really holds you back in so many regards.
Yeah. Are you close? Is your family geographically near you, Brian, in DMV? No. Oh.
No, most everyone's in Florida, and then I have a good percentage of them in California.
Oh, they're far.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. There's like, I don't know about you, but I left a whole community. And at first that didn't bother me, but now I miss it. It's just different.
And I think this is like what started the 2 hour conversation with Beju and I last time.
Yeah.
And things like that makes me think like a couple of things. The first thing that always comes to mind is an article that looked at the top things people said on their deathbed. And the number one thing that always comes up is like, I wish I didn't work as hard.
Yeah.
And then another one of those things, somewhere along the lines was like, I wish I spent more time with people that I cared about, you know? And that's hard. We don't spend much time with our family and friends as we age as much, especially if you're not around them.
Hmm. Yeah. It's hard. Like, as I don't share that sentiment. Like, if I were on my deathbed today, I wouldn't say like I wish I didn't work as hard because I love what I do, and I love the lives that I touch. Like, I do genuinely believe that like the work that I do is really good, and it brings a lot of value to a lot of people, including the people that I care about most, like my family. Um, if I had one more day on this planet, yeah, I would choose probably people over work. But who
I think
would?
so too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair. I think that I don't share that sentiment either, because I feel as though a lot of my life decisions is driven by what I believe is to be my purpose. But also, if you go to like that question, what would you do in the last day on this earth? I feel like I'd want to be with my family and friends.
Yeah, I know. I think I know exactly what I would do. Like, if someone told me I was dying tomorrow, I would just like, I honestly would just like call everyone that I really care about and just be like, "Hey, I'm dying tomorrow." Like I know we probably can't be in person, but like, look, it's probably sad that I thought about this, but I was like, Do you want to get on video and have a meal with me?" That's basically what I want to do. I think on my last day on Earth is like food and people. That's a great way to leave.
Who would you call?
Who do we call? Definitely my family. Like I don't family is not necessarily everything, but family is the reason why you exist. So definitely my family. I'd say my closest friends. Um, Definitely my friends Tim and Steph from college. We when we roomed together in college, we slept in the same room for like a year. And there were some weekends we didn't leave the room. It's pretty crazy actually. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and I was a horrible like apartment mate. I wouldn't let them turn up the heat past 55 during the winter because I was really
Why?
cheap.
Oh, okay. Oh, that makes sense. Should have
Yeah,
figured that.
yeah. Probably call some of my friends internationally. I can think of like Yoshi, for example, in Japan. He was like my roommate when I lived in Europe. We Yeah, and I like went to his wedding. Um, I don't know, maybe probably some people at work. Like we've grown a lot together. My old boss from my previous job, who I think really set me up, if she's still alive. Um,
Mm.
yeah, I don't know. There's an endless number of people I would love to have a final meal with.
Yeah, that's something really hard to think about. But then, like, I think about that sometimes, and it's also like, why do we wait? Because tomorrow's never guaranteed. Why
Hmm.
don't we do more of these things now? And that's always very difficult to reconcile in my mind, because it's like, yeah, I don't know if something's gonna happen tomorrow to myself or someone else, and
Hmm.
why don't we spend more time calling them and having those meals?
Yeah, well, this is my personal truth is like I don't live on platitudes. which are like these highly positive things that are like wholly unattainable. Like that's just a great way to be unhappy all the time. And that's definitely one of them, which is like, oh, why don't you just do that now and live for today? It's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna live this really unsustainable life every single day, all the time. Yeah, I think you can. I think you still live some of the principles of that last day situation, but to a lesser extreme.
Yeah. I personally don't know how to reconcile it to the best. I just work a lot.
Yeah. And
But
it's okay. Like people shouldn't feel guilty about working if they don't feel like their work is a waste of time. I mean, it's one thing if you feel like your work is a waste of time and maybe it's time. I mean, we're seeing that now. A lot of people are coming to the realization that like unless you pay me for my time, I'm not wasting my time on making
Mhm.
you money. And that's a great realization for people to come to. But if you're working and to you it's valuable and it fills your cup, I don't see how that's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that.
Mhm.
Um, as we start wrapping up this interview here, what do you think about like jobs, like part-time jobs? Would you well, I guess like you talked a little about your bakery and maybe even consulting. Is there any like other jobs that you would consider like doing?
Yeah, actually there's one plug that I'll make that's like slightly professional, but
Mhm.
um I want the national boards of pharmacy to take me on and allow me to lead the effort to create a national pharmacist license because it's absolutely ridiculous that we don't have one.
Oh, that is so specific.
Yeah.
What? Why? And when did you get that idea in your mind?
Well, like I run a clinical team, for example, right? And like it's pharmacists are like the only healthcare professional that have to take a law exam in every state to get a medical license, right? To get a pharmacist license. Physicians don't need to do that. NPs don't need to do that. PAs don't need to do that. Nobody needs to do that. And it's a lot of mental anguish. I actually was on the receiving end of a lot of this mental anguish very recently. And like
Okay.
a lot of these other professions have national path to semi-national licensure. Like nurses have compact license, which allows them to practice in multiple states.
Mhm.
Um, we don't have that, and I don't understand why.
I feel as though a decent amount of other industries also fall into the same shoes. Perhaps maybe not the medical folks.
Mhm,
I know like some of my accountant friends used to always complain that they have to do like the CPAs are different per state. It's not
mhm.
even that they have a license. There's so many like strange things. It would be nice, especially so it looks something like the VA license. Is that what you're thinking about? Where if you're a pharmacist, the VA you can basically work anywhere with one license.
Similarly, I think like the problem is that state practice laws are not homogeneous, but
Mhm.
there's enough homogeny amongst all the states that there's like a core set of pharmacy practice principles that I think can be implemented with a national license. And, it'll be very specific to those things. So, like, obviously, dispensing is off the table, but clinical delivery of services, that's generally universal across the United States now.
Mm. So you said a lot of this stemmed from a recent personal thing then, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you have like no shortage of things you want to work on.
No, definitely not. Yeah, I'm a builder at the beginning of each day. When one thing's finished, I'm ready to do the next thing.
So if you haven't thought about this already, and I feel like you would have already, you should write a book, man. Talk about all these things. It's a fun
Yeah,
thing to do in retirement, you know?
yeah. I think I've gotten that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, people say I've lived many lives already. I don't know. I don't see it that way. Like I think I'm just living life.
Well, I mean, it was very fascinating to me. I think there was a lot of like unique experiences that you shared that I find quite interesting. I think especially like the one where you were homeless for a little bit. I think those kind of things really change you in many different ways. Um, but anyways, We are at an hour into it. We usually try to end this at an hour. Justin, thanks for hopping on. I thought we were going to talk about more dating, actually.
We can do
But
that.
we didn't talk about
too.
yeah. Yeah, we can do a part 2. Yeah, there's just you have a very interesting life. And I also thought we might talk about your dancing stuff. I know we did that a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Like, you've got a lot of things going on. So
Mhm.
I feel like your life is not going to be boring at all, in retirement. It's going to be a lot of different things going on.
Potentially.
But yes, thanks, Justin, for hopping on. We will try to get you on again, sometime in the future. Thanks to everyone that participated in the audience. Happy Saturday.
Happy
Thanks for
Saturday.
tuning in.
Thank you for having me. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay.